Okay, perfect. Okay.
Question.
We are going to do the most impossible prime in sports history. Obviously, this is going to be about Tiger Woods. That's who the is in the thumbnail. If I were going to rank the most impossible primes in sport history, yeah, it's probably going to be Tiger Woods. I think he was like number one in the world for like 10 years straight, a decade. He was the number one ranked golfer for a decade. So obviously him. I put Michael Jordan number two. That dude was winning Defensive Player of the Years, MVPs. He averaged 37 points in 87. 87. No one's done that since. Probably Muhammad Ali, number three. I'd probably put those as my top three. Mount Rushmore, if you will. I know there's four on Mount Rushmore. Those are my three.
What does Wayne Gretzky, Lionel Messi,
Ooh! Michael Phelps.
Novak Djokovic, Barry Bonds and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar have in common? It's not that they're all champions. Barry Bonds never won a World Series. It's not that they're all considered the greatest of their sport. LeBron and Jordan are greater than Kareem. See, all these athletes share one common achievement: MVPs. In their respective sports, no one has been crowned the most valuable player or the equivalent award more times than these guys. However, among the...
How many times did... What? I didn't know Kareem won 6. I know nothing about soccer, but I've heard Messi's the guy. I actually had this discussion the other day with my friends. If we're going to compare, right? So I heard Pele is like one of the greats of soccer. And I was asking him like what he thinks. And he said he would not be able to compete as well today as he would have back then. Totally get that. Everything has changed about sports, though. Without Pele, there is no Messi, right? It's the same thing with basketball. Without Pete Maravich and Allen Iverson, there is no Kyrie Irving. And I think that's something that people fail to realize about sports. It's like, yeah, the newer players are better because they've had people to look back on and take notes from, right? And then people and the rules have changed. Something that pisses me off that I see all the time is people being like, well, back in the 60s, look at how they dribbled. It's like, yeah, because if you did this motion with the ball, which is what every single player does today in the modern NBA, it was called a travel. Keep that in mind.
greats, one man stands above the rest, winning 9...
Ooh, Wayne Gretzky's also tough. He's like, I think he has the next closest guy. He has so many goals, right? The next closest guy in goals wouldn't even have more. Like, Wayne Gretzky has more assists than the next closest guy with goals, I think.
Awards over the span of 10 years. Wayne Gretzky represents
lock in
the
and
gold
stop pausing.
standard for domination. But there's a problem, because without downplaying what Gretzky managed to achieve, in terms of MVPs, one guy has everyone beat. See, every year, PGA Tour players who have played in at least 15 money events are invited to vote upon who they believe had the best season. So, for example, last year in 2025, Scottie Scheffler was crowned the best player in the world for the 4th year running, joining the exclusive club of Jack Nicklaus, who has won 5 of the awards, and Tom Watson, who has 6.
Hot take. I know I keep pausing. Hot take, okay? The same people that say LeBron James is better than Jordan have to use that same logic for any other sport, right? And if you do that for golf, Jack Nicklaus is better than Tiger Woods. That's all I'm saying. Tiger Woods had a better prime. We know that. He was super dominant. So is Jordan. But if you're going by total wins, especially majors, which is the most important, Jack Nicklaus has him beat.
But there's one man who sits completely alone at the top of the list. Tiger Woods. See, if Scotty wants to catch Tiger's record, he would have to win every single award until 2032 to equal Tiger's 11 Golf Player of the Year awards. By far the most MVP awards in sports history. But that's just scratching the surface, because you might know the name Tiger Woods, but the numbers show you probably don't truly understand how ridiculous he was.
I will explain to my dad, second sucks, the third's even worse. I want to win. That's just my nature.
Heading into 1997, the game of golf had a problem. Known as a sport for the wealthy middle-aged white man, it wasn't necessarily struggling to survive, but it wasn't growing either.
Tom Watson.
And nothing shows that more than looking at golf's most prestigious tournament. When you hear the term TV rating, I feel many get confused about.
Yo, something I love about the Masters, I have the utmost respect for it. They let anyone, it's like ESPN, Fox, anyone, use their TV rights. I think as long as they use the same announcers or something. But the Masters is awesome, dude. They keep the food prices the same. They don't allow you to bring phones. You have to live in the moment. I love the Masters, dude. How much money would you be willing to spend to play at the Masters? I think for me, if I'm going by the money I have now, like $5,000. If I'm going by I'm like middle class, which there's not even a middle class anymore. But middle class, I'm like, dude, I'd be willing to drop some dough, like $15,000.
Actually means. However, it's actually relatively simple. A 1.0 rating means exactly 1% of homes in the US tuned into a specific program. So, for example, the 1990 Masters had a rating of 10.5, meaning that exactly 10.5% of the country was tuned in. An impressive achievement for such a niche sport. However, this wouldn't continue, dropping to a low of 6.8 in 1993. It would rebound to a stagnant 9.2 in 96. However, golf was exactly that, stagnant. The script was predictable, an unathletic middle-aged white guy claiming the green jacket every year. It was comfortable, familiar, but wasn't exactly pushing any boundaries, and unfortunately it didn't look like it was going to change anytime soon. Well, that was until a 21-year-old from Southern California turned up and changed everything. Winning the 1997 Masters by a record amount of strokes.
There it is, a win for the ages.
Aura.
Not only did viewership increase, it achieved a monumental rating of 14.1, becoming the most watched Masters ever with 44 million people tuning in. But this shouldn't have happened.
Welcome to the green jacket.
Thank you.
By the way, it clashes with red terribly.
There's many unique aspects that make golf stand apart in the world of sports. However, one of the biggest is how long it takes to get good. See, unlike other sports where a young guy can come straight...
Another hot take, because I think he's about to say it here. Golf is the most skilled sport in the world. I said what I said. It's not athletic by any means, but that's what makes it so skilled. Is there's no like genetic predisposition you can have other than like maybe muscle mass just to get a little bit of length on your drive or whatever, on your drive or your shots. But there's no genetic predisposition that makes anyone better than another person in golf. It's literally all time, effort, and skill.
A team at 21 and make an impact or win awards. Golf simply doesn't work like that. As we can see on this graph, the majority of the world's most popular sports has a player peaking around their mid to late 20s, when the body is at its optimal athletic ability combined with a healthy amount of experience. Due to the precise aspect of the game, you find golfers peak later due to the years it takes to hone the muscle memory required to conquer such a technically challenging sport.
Exactly.
See, even though by their mid-30s many have lost the raw power they might have had 10 years prior, it's made up for by their increased experience.
I love that
However,
ball, dude.
every couple generations, a scary combination appears. A young guy with all the power and athletic ability one could possess, whilst also having the precision of a guy 15
The Jordan Spieth fall off needs to be studied, by the way.
years his senior. See, over the history of the sport, only 25 guys have ever earned the title of world number one, with it taking on average the very best 8.5 years to accomplish this. Now, we do see this time drastically reduced the better the talent though. Names like Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm and Scottie Scheffler all managing to reach the top spot in half the usual time, with Scheffler in particular achieving it in a staggering 3 years and 8 months. However, almost no one rose quite as rapidly as Jordan Spieth, who
Yep,
in just
I remember
over
that.
2.5 years went from rookie
That's
to the world's
insane.
best player. Now, even though this was extremely impressive
And then fell off the face of the earth.
time, it wasn't like we'd never seen it done before. Turning pro in August 1996, the world of sport had never quite seen a talent like Tiger Woods. In his first year as a pro, not only did he win the Masters by a record amount of strokes, he also became the youngest to ever do it at just 21 years old. See, not only is Tiger Woods the fastest to ever reach world number one,
That's
he
ridiculous.
also managed it in a third of the time it took Spieth, and almost 10 times quicker than anyone else. Taking the top spot just 9.5 months after
9
turning
months?
pro, it was clear to everyone that from now on, the game of golf was going to look a bit different. See, reaching the pinnacle of your sport is an achievement every athlete around the world strives for. To work for years, making sacrifices, overcoming self-doubt and criticism to be crowned the very best in your sport is an experience
21 years is insane. 21 years. Dude, his dad, I already know the stories, but like, dude, his dad had to fucking... I mean, he had to have picked up a club at like 2 years old and been practicing at least like 4 hours a day, dude. Every day.
only a handful of people can relate to. However, to go down in the history books requires that level of performance to be sustained, something golfers have always struggled to do. See, inherently, golf is designed against domination. In the majority of sports around the world, your path to a win is through a bracket. So, for example, while there might be 120 odd players at a professional tennis tournament, ultimately, to win, it only requires you to beat 7 different players. In every match, your baseline odds are around 50%. Now, this does change the better the player though, like Novak Djokovic, who has a career win percentage of 83%.
What?
See, golf differs in the
83?
fact that you're not playing every guy one at a time, you play them all simultaneously. Given that an average PGA Tour event has a field of
Golf is also by far the most mental game, dude. Like, it's not only that you're just like playing everybody else in the field, you're also sitting there in dead silence with 143 people looking at you, causing you, and like literally pushing themselves in to the point where you literally have this wide of a gap to hit a golf ball through.
156 guys, your baseline odds of winning are just 0.64%, but it goes even deeper than that. In tennis, if you're the number 1 player in the world and you're playing at 90% of your maximum capacity, you will almost certainly beat the number 45 ranked player, even if that player is having a great day. However, in golf, if you're the number 1 player in the world and you have a brilliant weekend, hitting 95% of your shots, you will shoot roughly 15 under par. But out of a field of 155 other world-class professionals, the statistical probability that at least one of them has had the absolute
Getting close there.
professionals, the 4 days of their entire career and shoot 60 and under par is incredibly high. And you have zero physical ability to
That's why it's
stop
the most
them
skilled
making
sport.
a 40-foot putt on the
Sorry.
18th hole to beat you by 1 stroke. It's for this very reason that sustained greatness in golf is so rare, and why what Tiger Woods managed to achieve is even more impressive. When you combine the 1 versus 155 format, the 0.64% baseline odds, and the inability to play defense, the idea of staying at world number 1 for years on end defies statistical logic. So, for example, if a golfer manages around 20 to 40 weeks as world number 1 over their careers, they're undeniably Hall of Famers. Guys like Jordan Spieth, who spent 26 weeks at the top spot, or Vijay Singh, who managed an impressive 32. These guys had a solid season or two where they were generally the favourite in most of the tournaments they played. However, moving up a tier, we find the true all-time greats, guys like Nick Faldo, who dominated the 90s with 97 weeks at world number 1, or the more modern guys like Rory McIlroy or Dustin Johnson, who cracked the 100-week mark at 122 and 139 respectively.
Tigers is like
Essentially, guys in this
300.
tier aren't just
I'm
having
pretty
a hot
positive.
streak, they literally define an era of golf. However, the tier above is where we get to the truly generational guys, like Scottie Scheffler, who took over the number 1 world ranking in May of 2023 and simply hasn't given it back. As a of right now, his active streak sits around 126 consecutive weeks at the top. Combine that with his earlier stint at the top spot in 2022, he's currently sitting at 182 weeks as the best golfer on the planet. And in terms of active streaks, golfers almost never seen this before, with the next closest being Greg Norman with a 96-week streak in the late 90s. But the key word is almost, because as you've probably guessed by now, there's a final tier where we find one man all alone. June 15th, 1997 and May 17th, 2014 are two of the most important dates in golf. The first marked the day Tiger Woods became the youngest ever player to reach world number one at just 21 years old, and the second marked the last time he would ever hold the top spot. Now, between those two dates,
imagine being 21, freshly turned 21. You finally you just got your first beer. You become the number one ranked golfer in 8 months, and then literally don't make another mistake for the next 14 or however many years of your career.
there are 882 weeks, or roughly 17 years. Now, of those 17 years, how long do you think Tiger was world number one? 20% of the time? 30? Maybe half the time? Well, consider this. Rory McIlroy, who people consider as a top 5 golfer of all time, only managed to hold the top spot 21% of the time over 11 years, making 50% over 17 seem ridiculous. However, nothing is ridiculous when talking about Tiger Woods. This timeline demonstrates the sheer scale of Tiger's dominance. As you can see, we have Tiger and 3 other of the best players of the modern generation. And not only did Tiger hold the top spot for 50% of the time, but he spent 13 of the 17 years at world number 1, which adds up to 70% of the time. He had an entire stretch, double the amount of time Rory has ever spent at world number 1. Remember Scottie Scheffler's mind-blowing active streak? Well, not only did Tiger manage a similar streak over 100 weeks longer than Scottie Scheffler currently has, but for good measure, he decided to do it again, beating that same streak by 17 weeks. In total, Tiger managed to achieve an astonishing 682 weeks as the best player on the planet. However, I want to leave you with one last stat. For an entire decade of 522 weeks, Tiger only spent 32 of them not as the best golfer on the planet. For a 10-year span, he spent 93% of the time as world number 1. And in that equivalent amount of time, you could start high school, graduate, go to college, complete a master's degree, and Tiger Woods would still be the best golfer on the planet.
Ridiculous, bro. Go for real.
Tonight we feast.